from New York, you are listening to Extra Time. I'm Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Calen Carr, Calen with a C, Sacha Kljestan with an S, Tom Bogert in full arm. Dead in company?
Dead in company.
Grateful Dead?
This is a Grateful Dead shirt, but
Gotcha.
Dead in company, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at him if you're watching on YouTube or Apple TV. Tom, this does not match with my image for you. It's going to be like a totally chill show, bro. But also, you're not a totally chill men's league manager, I hear, before we get into Matchday 20 and otherwise. Heard you're cutting your best friend from your men's league team.
There are some changes that were made. I didn't cut him, but I didn't.
There's some changes that were made. Going straight to
didn't-
a cliche off the top.
I didn't.
That's how you know
speak.
he's guilty.
I know.
Didn't desperately ask for him to come back. Like that's kind of how that one went.
That's
I think
cold,
I think he needed me to say we need you, and I was just
Does he
like,
listen to
"Good
the
luck,
show?
man."
I hope he doesn't
There's
listen
no
to
shot.
the show.
Yeah, there's no
The
shot.
friendship survives, or is
Yeah, the
this?
friendship survives. Unless he hears this.
Would he hear this?
No, he won't hear this.
What was the problem
Yeah,
with this
what's the
performance?
issue here?
Quality. It's all right. It's cutthroat.
Are you playing 11v11?
No, sevens.
And what is he, a defender, midfielder?
Defender, sometimes that he thinks he can go play up top. He's pretty good at knowing himself. But we'll bring him back for whenever we need a guy. We're good with that. But he wanted to play a volleyball league, and his head wasn't in it, and he didn't have the same quality as say somebody else who could miss a number of games. So that's how that one went.
It's ruthless.
Yeah, it's ruthless.
That's tough. The men's league world is very difficult. A lot of tough decisions for managers right now. Major League Soccer.
Good segue.
Absences. Yeah, you like that? A lot of absences for the Gold Cup, of course. International break robbed us of some big-time players in Matchday 20, but it was still a really fun midweek round of games. We're going to run you through that. Best thing we saw. Some goals that were against literally all odds, looking at you, Jose Martinez, and many other things, including a That's Whack take that Matt Doyle will enjoy in absentia here. We will also run through some transfer rumors, your mail, and we have, I am so delighted to report, some carp mail. We have carp in the mailbag, Calen.
What does that smell like?
It's back. I don't know, but they're eating the carp. That's the tease that I'll give you. There is carp being served now in Peoria at League Two soccer games. And
Sacha has no idea what's happening right
We'll
now.
try to catch
Tom
you up.
doesn't know either.
Yeah,
we are lost here.
Would you eat carp?
I don't know what carp is.
It's a fish. That's your
I
first
don't-
problem.
That is. I don't eat that much fish, if
Me
I'm
neither.
being honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a sushi guy either. I don't
No,
like chocolate.
no,
I'm really picky.
No,
They're not going to make
sushi.
sushi out of carp, I don't think.
We started with
but
fish, and
Peoria,
I was just
maybe,
saying
yeah.
what other things that I don't like.
That's
Peoria-
what we were.
That's Peoria sushi.
We were
Just
brokering
carp.
for carp tacos. We should ask for sushi next.
Oh, okay.
3 minutes in and we've gone off the rails.
Yes,
completely.
that's the beauty of the show. We have many more minutes to come. Tom, we'll let you start this off since we roasted you a little off the top. Best thing you saw from Matchday 20.
Was the Jose Martinez equalizer. He hit that the most sweet that you could imagine. I can't imagine. Sacha,
He
can you
can't
tell me?
imagine. He
can
can't
you tell me
imagine
what it's
hitting
like
a ball
to
that
hit a
sweet.
ball like that? That was gorgeous.
That must have felt pretty good because I've watched Jose Martinez shoot from 35 yards in playoff games, and the ball ends up in the outside of the stadium in that river behind Subaru Park many times, thinking, "Why are you shooting? You've never scored a goal before." But holy crap, that goal last night!
That the epitome of the no yes shot. It was phenomenal. He's taken 86 shots for Philadelphia with an average expected goals of 0.03. So the worst in the league for anybody with that many shots.
Like, actually, you sorted the table. You went and got the data.
Shout out to John Mueller, did the work for me. But yeah, it's just phenomenal. He's my favorite vibes player in the league. He's box office. He makes the mundane look super fun. Like, when the ball's rolling to him, it was just like, just shoot it. Why not? Like, there was no expectation for it to be a goal. And oh my God, I thought it was deflected the first couple times I watched because the way that it rose, like a high rise and fastball, I was like, did that take a knock off a defender? And like, no, he just hit it perfectly.
Yeah, if it's bouncing, it's coming across your body, and you're 35 out. You got to hit it.
Oh my God, yeah.
You have to go for that.
I agree.
Do you remember the goal that Thiago scored for Liverpool like that, where in
Oh my
against
God,
Porto
yeah.
in the Champions
Oh
League?
my
where it was
God,
like
yeah.
this far off the ground and was still rising. That was like that goal's been on Instagram for years. Like this Martinez goal needs to live on forever.
This is like the D-Row free kick.
This is sick.
20 years from now, we're
Yeah.
still seeing the one time Jose Martinez managed to put a ball on frame, let alone beat the goalkeeper. What's the technique on that for people who have played the game at a non-men's league level?
Well, the ball's
Tom.
bouncing pretty high on that one, so it's like you have to contort your body to get your leg almost parallel to the ground and smack through the ball to hit it dead in the center. And it's just got that little bit of spin going away from the goalkeeper. It's not easy to teach, I'll tell you that.
Close your eyes and say montage, montage, montage.
Bless El Brujo. Bless him. He needed that. A little bit of sorcery there, a little witchcraft from him, but he got the job done, and Philly came back from 2-0 down against Orlando, which brings us to our That's Whack moment. Big dunk. Duncan McGuire scores earlier in the game on a big dunk goal. Slide tackles a dude, pops up, scores. Then the second goal, they're giving it to Martin Ojeda, which I can't complain about too much, given I hyped up Ojeda a ton before the start of the season and was all about him.
I forgot about that. I didn't know we had him. Good pick, Tom.
But this deflected off of Big Dunk.
Yeah, that's not
And
Ojeda's
he should have
goal.
claimed it.
Calen, relax.
We need more striker instinct from you in that moment, Duncan. It's yours.
Yeah, I was like, where's the selfishness? You have to immediately claim that. And I was like, oh, he's got to celebrate that. The minute you saw the replay and it goes off his heel, I was like, you have to claim that.
It's a back heel.
If you open the door, yeah, exactly.
It's intentional.
You take your shoe off, you point to the exact mark.
It's like
on
hockey.
the
You're
spot.
hanging out in front of the goal looking for a deflection.
I'm jumping the corner flag. You gotta have to take that away from me. And I do think that he should get that goal still.
Agree.
I think that's that's a mistake.
Who's responsible for scoring this?
Wiebe.
I wish.
Honestly, whoever Duncan McGuire's agent is, get on the phone with MLS Communications and PR and whoever you need to, because this is his goal.
I assume that producer Anders just shadow controls all this stuff, so we should ask Anders for this.
Usually the PR people will get in the ear of the folks that make the decisions, and I'm trying to remember exactly who it is that gets the final call on this. But my experience with MLS goal decisions is that when that deflection happens, they're giving it to the player who it deflects off of. I mean, you see players barely have it on frame, and they don't give own goals. It's very charitable.
Yep.
So I don't know why Big Dunk didn't get the charity here.
He should get it. And, you think about, I don't know if rookie contracts have goal bonuses, but either way, you look back at the end of the year and you think of what he's been able to accomplish, and you're not going to remember each individual finish, hopefully. And he's gotten to a point where he's already got a number of goals right now in not a lot of minutes. I think him and Giacomakis are near
He
the
leads
top.
the league in goals per 90.
Okay.
His first goal, when he scored it, got him down to a goal every 85 minutes, something like that, which is pretty incredible.
I mean, yeah, he gives them something a little bit different. He's got that big body, the presence. Carr is like that, but he's more mobile. He has that mobility, he can slash a little bit, stretch the field. And at times for Orlando, it feels all the players want to come underneath. Ojeda, Facu Torres, a lot of these players like to tuck inside. It can get a little bit crowded, and he gives them something a little bit different. And, sometimes strikers, the first touch wasn't right there, but gets the tackle on a center back to win the ball back, and then immediately gets up and puts it in the back of the net. So, but yes, he needs to get that second one.
Orlando, 2-2 with Philly. Orlando at home have struggled this year. They had an opportunity to win this one against a really good opponent. Couldn't quite get it done. That's just one loss in the last 11 games for the Union, who continue to roll after the CONCACAF Champions League disappointment. Sasha, best thing you saw in Matchday 20?
Best thing I saw was Ben Bender's goals. I really like this young player from Charlotte, coming out of University of Maryland, number 1 overall pick. Tall, skinny, long hair, attacking midfielder. You guys
Rings
do the
a
math.
bell.
You got to type.
Yeah, I got to type. Yeah, I also like Jack McGlynn from Philly. Where's number 16? Okay, anyway. Ben Bender's first goal, the touch with the right foot to bring it down out of the air, finish with the left. The second goal to cut inside on his right foot, curl it to the far post. Those were high-level finishes from the young man, and I love the way that he's playing. I've really enjoyed watching his game. And Charlotte just seems to be better when he's out there in the starting lineup.
It's tough math right now for Christian Latanzio. His DP's sort of in and out. Kopetti was back in this match. Usually came off the bench. Swiderski is there. But how do you get them all on the field and then defend? Because that's their issue. They're up 2-0 on the Red Bulls at Red Bull Arena and predictably frittered it all away with poor defending. 2-2, this one ends. But Ben Bender has tied his career high. I mean, it's his second season.
That first touch on the first goal, we were on the show together last night. I was like, shades of Dennis Bergkamp. And you were like, I don't know, is that too much?
Yeah, and then he had the curler, and we kept saying it, and I was like, I think maybe people are going to not take us seriously, but at the same time, just use your eyes. The quality in that moment is truly special.
To be jumping in the air while taking your touch, both feet off the ground, around Nealis for the finish, it was phenomenal.
Calen, what was phenomenal
I've been waiting
in your
for
opinion?
this one.
Yeah, stretch out, get ready. Prepare yourself. Tuck
it in.
Tuck, yes. Tuck the shirt, please. What's the best thing you saw in match day 20? Nice clean tuck from you. Appreciate that.
It's got to be Ray Gaddis, the legend, playing left center back for his team coming out of retirement a couple years ago. It just sounded more dramatic.
Yeah, but still, that's incredible to remember. He came out of retirement.
He retired. He was going into the ministry. He was serving his community. Chris Albright gives him a call. Pat Noonan says, hey, we need you back, man. We got this project. We're trying to bring this team forward. And he has been a big part of it. He's played a much bigger role than I think a lot of people would even anticipate. In this game, played a different role than he's accustomed to even.
I think has ever played. I'm not sure he's ever played
exactly
that role.
No Miazga, no Mosquera. In steps Ray Gaddis. Up against Bernadeschi,
also,
just as you would write it up in the script.
This is the incredible thing. It's Ian Murphy, Alvis Powell, and Ray Gaddis in a 3-man back line.
Yeah, but
I think that would never work, and they just.
But I mean, this is a part besides the quality or the versatility and the commitment, of course, to sacrifice. For me, the leadership and the Cincinnati team that was at the bottom of the table year after year after year to reset a culture. There's nobody better to have than Ray Gaddis, and that's what this moment was against Bernadeschi, where Alvis Powell is defending him, playing honest, making it difficult on Bernadeschi, which is his job to do. They got the two Italians on either side. If you stop them, you're going to stop Toronto. He frustrated Bernadeschi, leaves a little something in it, and Ray comes over and backs his guy up. And I love that. I love the fact that he got up in his grill and said, I don't care where you're from, who what the salary is, whatever it is.
He gave him a little bit of the Italian finger in the face too. I like that.
He said, "I'm the Minister of Defense."
Yeah. Oh, yes.
He should have recognized the veteran tuck. That's you got to know. You don't want to mess with that guy.
And the tuck didn't move at all. It was an incredible integrity of the tuck while being mean. That was just perfect. You gotta back down.
I don't think he was mean, to be fair. I think he was.
I disagree with you, sir. I don't like how you handled that. I would appreciate if you apologized.
It was respectful. It was probably respectful, but he stood his ground.
He did.
He stood his ground. He got the finger in the face. Bernadeschi lucky to not get a red card. I mean, he did have the little lunge out there. I'm fine with it being 2 yellows, but you read the laws, it's attempt to strike, and there was an attempt there. So he got in his head.
And that's the point, is to frustrate those guys. And credit to Cincinnati. 10-0-0 at home. Incredible. No Vasquez, no Miazga, no Mosquera, as I mentioned. Just the way they pressure has been fantastic. They won 12 games by 1-goal margins. This one, they piled it on. Lucho Acosta, again, at the center of a lot of it.
How about that pass for the third goal, Lucho Acosta? Little driven little backspin, right?
He's
right
just so special.
Yeah.
And it's all special. You mentioned 10-0-0. There's only one other team that started a season like that at home. That's the 2002 San Jose Earthquakes. They played 3 teenagers, did Pat Noonan in this match. 15-year-old Steven Jimenez was a victory cigar in the face of Toronto FC. We're beating you down so bad with 6 starters missing that we're going to give a 15-year-old his first appearance against you, who have 2 internationals from Italy, 3 Canadian internationals sticking around before they, 2 of them go off to the Gold Cup. I mean, it was a little, not intentionally so, but it's a little, disrespectful. It's dismissive of Toronto, and understandably so. I was doing the math here. Right now, with a plus 14 goal differential, and you mentioned the 1-goal victories, right now, Cincinnati on pace for 81.5 points. Ooh. So let's just round it down and say 81. That would be 8 points more than the all-time record. What is this accomplishment through half a season, Sacha? Losing 1 game, undefeated at home, U.S. Open Cup semifinals. Certainly I would think they would believe once their guys come back in Leagues Cup and they have Aaron Bupenza as well in that DP spot that why not Leagues Cup as well? What can't they win?
No, they're the odds-on favorite now for everything, especially the Open Cup. You got 2 games left. They play the semifinal at home. Is that correct? Against Miami?
I believe so.
At home against Miami, you got to think. I mean, of course, Messi could be playing by then for Miami, but Cincinnati still will be.
Yeah, but they got Ray, so.
They got Ray. They got the Minister of Defense. So Cincinnati has been unbelievable. The biggest thing was this game with the 3 guys that you named playing at the back, obviously with Miazga and Mosquera not there, still getting a shutout against the Italian duo and Toronto FC. The sky's the limit for this team because you have Lucho Acosta, the X Factor, who is fully bought in and fully being a leader on this team, and everybody is following him. Everybody seems to understand their role. Alvaro Barreal down the left side, still setting up chances, creating things from a wing-back position. I love this team.
I think the other thing, too, for me is, especially we saw so many different players used out of position or depth of roster is tested. what it does when you win a match like that for a team to have that confidence is huge. I remember a game in Houston where I had to start the match against Salt Lake at center midfield. You don't want to play against. It was like, luckily I think I had Ricardo Clark behind me and maybe Boniak. But it was still, my head was just spinning against this RSL team. And by the end of the match, I was playing right back because we went down a man. Calen Carr, my old teammate, rest in peace to him, scored a late winner from the penalty spot. But I remember afterwards, just the team just felt incredible because everyone's playing out of position. The lineup made no sense, but you get through it, and that's just like fantastic. The thing that also sets apart Cincinnati to me is if you want to see a team as far as how tuned in they are and how they keep winning these small margins, watch when the ball goes out of play. That's where Cincinnati really starts to be alert and look for pressing signals. There was a play where the ball just was out for a throw-in for Toronto, and Kubo presses, then Lucho presses, and then Angulo steps up to win it. That's the trigger to then go get it. He has the patience then to find it to Lucho, gets the finish. And then the other one, the third goal to Baji, was just a quick restart from Wobodo, where he plays the ball just quickly out wide to Lucho Acosta, who always kind of shades to that left side, especially when they're playing against the ball. He's got the freedom not to track back always. He can kind of find the most dangerous position. And he's just waiting for it. And Baji recognizes it. Meanwhile, Toronto FC was just kind of looking all around, had no idea what was going on. It's one pass, which, as you mentioned, was beautiful. And then Baji, confident, takes the right touch, puts it through the goalkeeper's legs. But it's those moments where the ball's out of play that they're so alert. They're looking for where's the dangerous position without the ball or with it with the quick restart. So that was so impressive.
It's such an underrated thing of how focused a team can be when the ball is not in play, that so many teams take breaks during those moments when that is not the time to take a break. It's actually the moment to level up and get that leg up on your opponent, which clearly Cincinnati did yesterday and are doing it all season long.
I don't want to hear from any team in this league or supporters or players or certainly front office looking at their team and being like, oh, we're bad. It's going to take a while to fix this. Like, just be like, yeah, patience is a virtue. But at the same time, if Cincinnati can do this with good management, investment, good coaching, and players bought in, no excuse, man. There really just isn't a big excuse for anybody. By the way, an 8-point lead in the Supporters' Shield, a game in hand for Cincinnati. So they're the favorites in the Open Cup.
Upenza?
They're definitely the favorites in the Supporters' Shield. And if Upenza hits at all and helps Vasquez get back to anywhere close to what he was last year, the Juggernaut's going to roll on those one-goal victories. They're just going to start coming 2 and 3. Okay. We hit the That's Whack. I'm wearing a Damir Kreilach jersey right now, so I got to go with my guy, Damir. He's back. It's a miracle. I thought his career was over. He had the back issues, and you figured at that age, with the amount of time he was out, just coming back was going to be an accomplishment, let alone coming back and being a difference maker near the level that he had been for El Salt Lake in the past. Brace on the road in St. Louis. RSL go and win. They're absolute road warriors. Damir Kreilach has his 3rd brace of the year. He's the Continental Tire Player of the Match Day. You know we bow down to Continental as our former overlords. Thank you for honoring Damir Kreilach in that way. 3 straight wins on the road for RSL. 9 straight unbeaten on the road, all competitions. They're spending money. Chicho Arango is coming in. Andres Gomez set a new transfer record. Tom Bogert told us, I think on last show, that a new defensive midfielder's coming in, trying to keep Ojeda. They're in the Open Cup semifinals, and they're fun. Pablo Mastroeni has them playing fun, and he's playing everybody. 26 players played in the last 2 months. Sacha, I heard you on 360 talking about this being the story of the night for you. Why is that?
Well, I just love what they're doing because I don't think any of us really gave them a chance at the start of the season. Things were looking bleak. The team was not performing. They didn't have that dog in them at the beginning of the season that we all know that Pablo Mastroeni brings. And lately, he found something. He's got something going. And now the team is willing to spend some money to add to this roster, which I know Pablo has been asking for some help, some more quality in their team. And after they played New York City at home 0-0 a week ago, I talked to Pablo just briefly, and he was very excited about Chicho Arango and was just like, listen, we tied 0-0 tonight, but we created enough chances to get a goal. And I think if Arango was in that game, he would have put one of those away. And so I know Pablo is excited about this team. I'm excited about this team. There's actually some depth and real quality in attack now for them, which is very exciting to see.
Diego Luna, part of that depth.
Diego Luna, exactly.
His first goal of the season.
He was awesome last night. Had a great game.
Who starts for them full strength for you, Tom?
Oh, I don't think you can take out Diego Luna right now, but you put Chicho Arango up top when after the transfer window starts. Damir Kreilach right underneath. He's so good at that 9.5 role where you just kind of play as a second forward or you have to drop into the midfield. Like, he understands and manipulates space so well. It's been one of the most underrated parts of his game and why that he's been elite in this league. And
Great passer, too.
Huh?
Great passer.
Yeah. It's just the cerebral side of his game is just really great. I don't know. That's why that role is perfect for him, particularly with Chicho Arango to be ahead of him. And then the wings, it's 2 out of 3 of Savarino, Gomez, and Diego Luna. And right now, the form that Diego Luna's in, can't take him off the field. I was a little... I've been such a big fan of Diego Luna's for, his talent come through the youth national teams into USL and then into RSL. I thought RSL signing was a great deal. I didn't really know what his position is. And I still don't think I know what his best position is. But at the U20 World Cup, he was playing as an untraditional second forward next to Kate Cowell, who's a winger playing center forward. It shouldn't really work on paper, but I liked how that felt and how that looked. And now he's playing as a winger in this system. I didn't know if he had the athleticism, but he's the last 3 games, he's made it work really well. And the best example was last night. He was involved in all 3 goals. Every time he got the ball, again, I think this helps with Kreilach understanding space and the movement. That attack worked really, really well, even if, again, he's not a traditional winger because he's not a traditional anything. So I'm really curious to see how things unfold for Diego Luna and where his best spot is. But it's very encouraging that he's been able to find a couple different spots and add value and add quality.
X-Dog High.
They always
Pablo?
had that.
I mean, what I really like from Pablo is even though he did want more quality, and understandably so, as Sacha said, he used all his guys. He got buy-in from his whole squad. Musovski scored, Rubio Rubin got goals, got opportunities. Up and down the roster, everybody got their chance. And you feel like second half of the year when you had that one piece in Chicho Arango, who is as ruthless a goal scorer as we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years in Major League Soccer, there's another leap to make. And I think that leap is at home, Calen, because the road form is there. It's at home that if they want to be truly elite and not sort of in the log jam in the middle of the West, that's where they got to improve.
Yeah, it's strange that they've been so good on the road, and maybe that is where that mentality starts to come out. But yeah, 5 wins on the road, 2, 4, and 3 at home. So that really hasn't been good enough for them. But I think you're right, especially when you think about the playoffs and the way that they've now raised the ceiling, and that is through that spend, as Sacha mentioned, where you know what Chicho Arango is in MLS. It's not like a new signing where you're coming in and you're saying, well, I hope he settles. I don't know how it's going to fit. This guy scored 35 goals in 51 games for LAFC, lifted MLS Cup. And when we've seen even Salt Lake in the playoffs do well, they beat, Seattle with no shots on goal one time? And then there was got a goal in Austin, just trying to survive, get through, just people slide. I think Brody was their best chance in transition. Hopeful run, 90 yards forward, trying to get a goal to advance to the next round. Now you have that centerpiece. You think about the teams that win MLS Cup, Rui Diaz, Boanga, the top-end talent in MLS that really pushes you over. Tati Castellanos, all these guys that have really made the difference in the biggest matches. Now this team has it, and I think that's a scary sight if you think about them when they do get in the playoffs, because I think this is a playoff team.
I like them in transition moments when they pin back lines and you got both forwards isolated with the center backs. You have both wingers sitting on a fullback high, like a line up the field. They can drop in and receive, combine and get in behind. They go the early cross. Kreilach feasts on those. Arango will as well, but then they can combine, and there's always runners when there are crossing opportunities. So if Savarino or Luna or Gomez are making the right decisions, they're going to score a lot of goals. Congratulations to RSL. I know they've been asking for this for a while, and I wondered what the impact of the new ownership would be, and I was kind of it's been a little bit of a wait here, guys. What are we going to do? You said you were going to spend money, and now we're starting to hit those mid-teens millions of spend, and the results are there. Since
we're complaining about crediting goals and assists, can we make a petition formally for a dummy to be an assist? I felt this way for a long time. Kreilach's dummy, that opens up everything for Diego Luna on the first time finish. Why is that not an assist? I mean, you've got to imagine how many more
the
assists
dummy,
you would
but Damir, you got to do like a little flick on the ball, just a little bit to get it going in the same.
just a little
Duncan
dunk.
McGuire.
Yeah.
Just get that enough of a touch to claim it.
The dummy was very good. Just the ability for Damir Kreilach to see that Luna is coming in behind him and know that he's dragging a defender with him and that the dummy will leave the ball on a platter for Diego Luna to finish it is an amazing play.
I love that take, Calen.
We're going to retroactively give Sasha
I was going to say, that'll get Sacha.
left like 30 assists
We're getting there.
in a season.
We're hitting the 100 mark. No doubt about it.
How do these jokes land with you, Sacha?
These are good. I like it.
Just wait till we get the carp conversation going here. MLS Convos mail/Tom's transfer notebook. It's a grab bag here. We're talking RSL, and we didn't really mention St. Louis City. The win for RSL came at City Park. I had a question last night. Sasha, should we recalibrate expectations for St. Louis City? Both designated players out, I would assume, through the start of Leagues Cup. Leuven and Klaus now with quad injuries, and their form has sort of evaporated. No wins in the last 4. I think 3 of those are losses. Their road form is gone. They haven't won a road game since, I think, end of March at the end of that 5-game winning streak to start the year. Top of the West? Not so sure about that. Playoff team?
Yeah, playoff team for sure. But this is what I expected once they were 5-0-0 and everyone, we were all talking about, wow, this is such a surprise. But at some point, the blues are going to come of being an expansion side, and there's going to be tough games, and you're going to deal with injuries. And if they have international call-ups and playing in multiple competitions, there was going to be a dip at some point. However, they've done so much in this first 18 games to get on 29 points already. That's going to push them towards the playoffs. I don't expect them to finish in the top 3 or 4 in the West, but they've done so much in the first half of the season that it pushes them much further along than anyone expected them to be at this point.
I agree with that. And then we can talk about regression to the mean or anything like that, but they picked up the points at the beginning of the season to give themselves this cushion, to give themselves the room for error with Klaus being out longer than expected, and now Edward Leuven being out for another 4 to 6 weeks. Like, you take 2 DPs, 2 most important players away from any team, they're going to struggle. And St. Louis came out of the gates firing. And we've talked about on the show about all the good things that St. Louis did building into their first match, that they brought Leuven and Klaus and Berkey and a couple other players the summer before. So they had 6 months of being in St. Louis so that the transition period was immediate and they picked up points at the beginning of the season. Well, right now, if they didn't do that, maybe they're off to a slower start, and maybe this is a team around the playoff line or a little bit below the playoff line. And we're having this conversation about, oh my God, can they hang on for 4 to 6 weeks without their 2 best players, or will they kind of drift away from the line? Like, it's a completely different tenor of the conversation because of the preparation work that they did.
Got to give him credit, too. Calen and I were there when they drafted Nico Gioacchini. He's been absolutely up to the job of replacing some of Klaus's production, though in a different way. 8th goal of the year last night, but needs a little bit of help. You mentioned overperforming and sort of the margins. Well, their XG overperformance, plus 10.5, leads the league. So there was always sort of the quote-unquote regression to the mean coming, and Roman Berkey has been the best goalkeeper in MLS and goals prevented, so to speak, based on the models. I said last night on MLS Wrap-Up that they're much more of a pretender than a contender, but that doesn't mean hopeless. This is a playoff team for me, based on the culture, on the strength of the team, and the understanding of what they want to be. For me, now the fight is for a home playoff game. And I don't know if they'll get that, to be honest with you. I think it's very possible they slide below because the Western Conference is just a grab bag, and it's very random right now and very tight when it comes to the standings. When you look at St. Louis, I believe in second place right now on 29 points. Vancouver in 9th on 22. Now, things can change very, very quickly, and this stretch ahead of Leagues Cup is going to be critical for them without 2 of their best players. Who could they sign another designated player, Tom?
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna.
Will they?
I don't think so. Like, and again, we could reframe the conversation of, again, Lutz Van den Steel, the sporting director. He doesn't like looking at these terms. Like, the only reason why Klaus and Leuven are firm DPs is because of the transfer fees. And Berkey's could be maxed down, but they have him holding that 3rd spot just for allocation money purposes. Sorry. So, like, they don't look at it as going to sign a DP. Like, if it was Roberto Firmino, then, like, yeah, that is a DP because he would be so much different than everybody else. But, like, that's still a long shot. Even when I was reporting that they've had talks with him, it's always been a long shot. And again, there's nothing wrong with kind of going for that. But, like, that was like a one-off, oh my God, if we can get Roberto Firmino with Lutz Van den Steel's relationship with Firmino. And yeah, we're going to try to do that rather than like, all right, let's set aside X amount of millions of dollars to go get another player. Like, it'll be more like, even if they make a significant addition, it would be somebody like Lovren or Klaus, who we didn't really know well before they came, and we were all asking questions about, are these DPs good enough? And like, yeah, they are. So, yeah, for me, I don't think it's going to be anything like massive, but they've got flexibility.
Where would you sign positionally if you were looking at the St. Louis roster, Calen? What would you add to elevate them?
I feel like if they were to add some, maybe outside like fullbacks to really bomb forward. I like some of the pieces they have. I think Nelson is solid. You know, you think of what's the other side?
Jake Nowinski.
Nowinski, but they've been playing Kyle Hebert as a fullback as well, so they've been going center backs out there for solidity.
I could see them upgrading there. And then the question a little bit, even though Jokini's been good, is like just adding more offensive firepower, especially with the injury concern now with Klaus, where it's kind of just gone from one injury and then kind of lingered, and then it seems to just keep getting longer. It reminds me of I've been through some muscle injuries before, and they're tricky, they're difficult, so I feel for him on that. But yeah, when I think of this team, it's just big swings. Sacha mentioned the beginning of the season, they're winless in their last 4 now, but that kind of is par for the course. I think for an expansion team, you don't really have the experience, and that's where I lean always towards the teams that I know. LAFC, Seattle. For me, I know Seattle's not in the best moment right now. LAFC is struggling just like physically going through this many matches, but they're used to lifting trophies. They're used to managing this. They have the experience. They have the depth that I think they can withstand a little bit more than when we see Löwen and Klaus step out of the lineup, what happens to this team. So I think that's part of the reason where I'm like, I'm agreeing with you guys that I think they're in that next tier below, which is jumbled for sure in the Western Conference, but I put them just below that top tier.
Who's the best team, Sacha, in that middle class? I'm going to include St. Louis in that, and we might need to include Seattle in that right now.
If you're including Seattle in that, then they're the best for me.
Okay, let's take Seattle out.
I'm not worried about Seattle.
Let's take Seattle out. Let's take the obvious out. So St. Louis, Houston, San Jose, Dallas, Salt Lake. Who's the best team?
I think the best team is San Jose. They've for me have shown the most consistency as a team, and if they actually get Cade Cowell to start producing effectively offensively with Jeremy Ebobisse and Espinoza. I like the midfield on that team. I like the center back pairing now with Mensah. I like San Jose. I really enjoy the way that they're playing, and they've been a bit more solid, and they've been very good at home.
Interesting, all those teams. It's very much a big swing. St. Louis, outside of the first 3 games on the road, good at home, poor on the road. Houston, good at home, poor on the road. San Jose, good at home, poor on the road. Dallas in the same boat, and then RSL is the outlier and flips it. It's hard to be elite in this league, and there are probably
if Salt Lake can start winning their home games, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of big ifs there. The Western Conference is a bit strange, hard to analyze right now with everybody in similar positions. All right, let's hit some other teams around Major League Soccer. Let's start with Houston Dynamo. We're talking about San Jose, so we might as well talk about the Dynamo. 4-1 winners on Wednesday night. A strange one in the Lone Star State. I mean, weather went crazy as it does in Texas this time of year. I know Calen knows about that. It was like 120 heat index or something like that during the day, and then
that's a mild day.
Biblical rainstorms at night that had both the Houston San Jose game as well as the Copa Tejas matchup between Austin and FC Dallas delayed. They finally got those done, but Colorado Vancouver never did get started, a little bit north of that in Colorado. Tony Rubio says, real talk. Achi said he struggled when he arrived. Calen Carr said that the first 6 months were tough, but they kept the path, turning things around. Is it early, but is Achi a best 11 midfielder in MLS so far this year? What do you think?
I think so. I think he's definitely in that conversation. The hard part is with the best 11 is generally going to go to like goals and assists when you think of the actual award, and then you start thinking of Mukhtar, Lucho Acosta. Like that's where he'll probably be on the outside looking in, but he has changed definitely the trajectory of the Houston Dynamo and the way that they play. And the impressive part to me is that Houston has won in different ways. We saw them in that stretch against LAFC at home. They played on the front foot, much as they did against San Jose, applying pressure early goals. And then away, they sat a little bit deeper. I've seen at times them look to go direct on the counter, adding Aliou, Quinones, Baird, that pace up front. Or they can play possession when they have Artur, Hector Herrera, who's able to control the tempo or keep a little bit more of the possession, which hasn't really always been a strength for the Dynamo, at least in past years. So they have different ways to win, which has shown some different, tactical wrinkles even. They play a 4-3-3, but defend out of a 4-4-2. That's how Bassi gets the early goal. Bad pass from Beeson on San Jose. If you're playing on the road at Houston, it's 100 degrees and you're in the first minute, you cannot play a square ball there across your frame. And Bossi's pretty clever if you watch it back. He's kind of hiding behind Judson, so he's just getting in that. Sometimes they teach you with the ball to try to get lost as a striker, just get in the blind spot. But defensively, he gets in the blind spot there and jumps it to be able to pick that one off. But yeah, you think about Houston 7-1-1 at home. That's a playoff team. Win your home games. We've never in Houston been good on the road, really. I think some of the seasons I played there, we went 33 games unbeaten, which I think is an MLS record, but never really won any games on the road for the most part, except, but in the playoffs, it's different. And you only need to win 1 or 2 there and you get to the final. So I'm not saying that's going to be the trajectory for Houston, but the fact that they're good at home and now the Heat is just getting to that hot part of the season where nobody wants to go there, that's a pretty good recipe for success. I still think they need to add a striker.
We got some mail on that. Houston Arrow says the Dynamo are rolling without a DP outside of Ache. Should they move Sebas Ferreira, and where would you reinforce if you were the Dynamo? Any news on Sebas Ferreira?
Yeah. Before we get to that, Hector Herrera probably won't be best 11 because this league only does center forwards and number 10s for best 11. So there won't be any spots for him. Like you said, it'll probably be.
Hope his agent didn't put that in as a bonus trigger.
That's just my rant. Everybody else with a voting pass tried to give it to box and defensive midfielders. That's just my little rant. That's my stance. I'm trying to make it.
What about Sebas Ferreira though?
Yeah, better question.
Don't lecture us here. Come on. We'll vote how we want to vote. Okay.
So yeah,
I'm with you.
It's a DP forward that has 2 starts. They're going to look for a solution there, whether something happens or not. I think that's an obvious place to look. That's an obvious place to upgrade. Obviously, Ferreira doesn't want to not play. Earlier in the season, I was hearing that the vibes were still fine. He was trying to fit in, trying to win Ben Olsen's trust, trying to win minutes. Hasn't really happened. Hasn't really worked out for him. So you start to look to move on. Maybe there's a loan back to South America. And so depending on what the loan fee is, if there's a loan fee, if it's not a permanent move, that would determine whether or not they open a DP spot. So the way for sure that they could get a DP spot open is if he's transferred permanently. Or if it's a loan, there has to be a loan fee that covers the original transfer fee, which I believe was $4 million. This is why Rodolfo Pizarro counted as a DP in Miami, even when he was out on loan. This is why Ake Loba counted as a DP in Nashville, even when he was out on loan. So these are just kind of the cap things. So if he does leave, then I would use that DP spot as a number 9 again. I would take another swing again for as the goals that Thor is scoring, that Corey Bear is playing very well. I think you need to keep taking swings with that DP spot up top. They also have one U22 initiative slot open already. They can use that for another kind of young attacker. They have a purchase option coming up for Nelson Quinones. I believe his loan's done at the end of this month. So they need to make. Andres is telling me it's mid-July, so they have about another month to figure that out. So yeah, there's some moving pieces in attack, but this is the best foundation and the best vibes I think around Houston since the apex of the Mauro Manotas Albert Feliz years, which was 2017 a conference final and 2018 an Open Cup. It's been bleak since then. This has been awesome to watch Houston, get. It was borderline hopeless around this time last year, or years before that. It's what is the path forward? And now they have a path forward. They have a foundation. And what they should do with that is if they get this DP spot open, if Ferreira leaves, use it for another forward.
What kind of profile do you think would fit, Sasha? Would you spin big? Would you try to go more on the bargain side and unknown, like a Klaus type? Not that it was a bargain, but not in the Chicharito 10 million, Aaron Bapenza 7 million zone.
I'd love to see them spend big and bring in somebody, a big name that would enjoy playing with Hector Herrera, and Hector Herrera would be excited to have in their roster. I don't have a name off the top of my head, but I just want to say I got to give a lot of credit to Ben Olsen, because when this hire came, I think myself amongst many others questioned, why are you bringing in Ben Olsen? He was pretty stuck in his ways at DC United, a 4-4-2, nothing really unique about it, nothing very intrinsic about it. It was very basic, it seemed like, and now he's actually, it seems like he has grown a lot as a coach. First and foremost, you got Hector Herrera to buy into the team, to be a good leader, to put in big performances week in and week out, and then has moved between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1 and defending in a 4-4-2 and really has some intricacies to his team that has really helped this squad. And at home, they've gotten Houston Dynamo back to being a dominant team in a very tough place to play. I played for the Galaxy for the past couple of years and went to Houston towards the end of the season last year and the year before and absolutely smacked the Houston Dynamo in their place. And you shouldn't do that. It should never happen. It should be a tough place to play. And it was an easy place to play. So the best thing that Ben Olsen has done has made that stadium a fortress again.
What's it like in the summer? I never get tired of the Heat stories. Calen, truly, what's it like?
I mean, you weigh in and weigh out before games. I would lose 7 pounds every game, which...
What was the percentage of weight on that?
It's not.
Dear God.
That's unhealthy. But yeah, I mean, you see guys on IVs at times. I mean, it's brutal. And when we would play against teams, sometimes you look over at a friend or you're playing against, and 75th minute, you're on a set piece, and you look at their face, and just the life just falls out of it. It just looks like they're like, "Is this for real? Like, this can't be real." I love the old Benny Sal and Ike podcast where they would interview players, and they'd be like, "What's your least favorite place to go play?" Houston was one of the first, or New England sometimes, but it was often Houston, I think partly because of that heat. The stadium, it kind of traps the heat in. It makes it a little sweaty. It doesn't breathe very well, which for us was the time that we would push. The last 15 minutes is when we would push because we would see that that's where you have the strength. It's not fun. Don't get me wrong, as the home team, and there's a bunch of new players on this Houston team this year because there's been so much turnover that it's not like these guys are grizzled veterans that grew up in Houston or anything like that, but they have fit the profile of guys that can survive it. You think of Aliou, and that's where the scouting as far as going to make a signing, you start to feel that trust where they're looking at the analytics, but it's a different type of profile of even a DP striker, and that's where Sebas Ferreira doesn't fit for me. He doesn't have that work rate, he doesn't have that fitness or that profile to be able to he's just waiting in the box and kind of waiting for his chance and opportunity, but the way they play, the heat, the climate, you have to have something different. That's why we've had so many Honduran players in the past, like you mentioned, Elise, Kyoto, these guys, or Jamaicans, guys I played with, even some Scotsmen. I don't know how they survived that, but you have to be able to have some guys that can handle it, and it's only a certain type of player that I think fits that profile.
And that's why he's not playing.
Yeah.
He would be playing if he was doing more of the work, or if Ben Olsen and the coaches have trusted him to do the work and the work rate. He's just not. So he's not playing. So, as you said, the next DP has to be somebody first and foremost, that's going to be a hardworking center forward, somebody who can play against the ball like Ben Olsen wants. And then obviously the goals are integral for any DP, but you're not going to get on the field if you're not running.
Credit to Nelson Quinones, by the way. You mentioned that his loan option is coming up. He had done almost nothing in terms of filed third production until literally the last month. So good timing on his part. I don't know if that means that Houston will trigger this, but he scored his first 2 goals. He got an assist in this match. He's drawn penalties, but he's just direct. And to start the season, they had so much difficulty just creating goal-scoring chances. Just getting into the final third period, you give him an opportunity to be direct with the ball on the left. Aliou is just a straight-line runner and relentless at forward. He doesn't need the ball to be effective. His movement opened up space for Bassi in this game as well. Bassi's shown that despite the penalty overload, it's 5 of 8 goals. He has a knack for finishing as well. I know you give me that look. I just have to say it. It's just context to his goal scoring numbers. But they're finally starting to put the ball in the back of the net, and that takes pressure off everybody else. And when you have 2 guys that can stretch the field up top, all of a sudden there's more room for Hector Herrera to work with. There's more room for Coco Carrasquilla to sort of explore those spaces behind. Yeah.
Last thing I'll say
great
on
job
the back
so far.
line, because we've gone deep into Houston, but they deserve it based on their performance as of late. But the back line, they only given up 2 goals at home, which is really impressive, especially when you consider this isn't just an elite back line that has all these big names or pieces. Teenage Adebi went out early in the season. They're playing Steres as a left back at times. It's just been a complete mixture of different options just to try to
Mixture?
Yeah. I'm on a I don't know where
I'm
that
tired,
came from.
man. I don't know about everybody else out there. Wednesday night, my brain's running probably 65% right.
I'm on a group chat that shares music taste, and I think it's called Mixture.
Okay, that's where it came
probably
from.
where it
Popped
came
up.
from, yeah.
Speaking of, I'm curious.
Sorry, one last thing.
Yeah,
They're in
go.
the semifinals of the Open Cup
Yes.
too. This Houston is making a real run at this thing this year, and we've got to give them proper applause. So well done, Ben Olsen. They've got a chance. They play at home against Real Salt Lake in the semifinal too. So to get back to those Manotas Elise days, it's a big opportunity for Houston.
Well done by the front office for overturning this roster. And what they inherited when they came in, not this winter, but like 18 months ago, it was pretty bleak. And there was a lot of assets borrowed from the future. So what they had to do to get out of contracts and to reset the structure to bring in some of these players, it's very impressive.
Can I ask the two that have played in Major League Soccer, what is it like this time of year? I'm thinking to myself, I'm crushed, and I don't have the physical exertion side of it. All these teams are basically, almost every team in MLS has been playing 3-day game weeks for a long time now.
I love the 3-day game week. I loved it as a player. I loved playing games that you played, you recovered, you did a light training, you played again. The games just keep coming. Whether you're winning and you're trying to get on a winning streak, or whether you lose, you've got a chance to make it up 3 days later. So sorry to all
No complaints, you say.
Sorry to all you
Stop
people
crying.
who think that we play too many games in MLS. More games. Love me some league. I wish I could play in Leagues Cup. Put me in the Open Cup midweek against a 5th division team. I don't care.
I mean, you are a free agent.
This dude never got injured. You said you didn't even know. You said you would warm up just to be a good teammate. Yeah. You could just walk right out there.
Yeah.
I did not have that.
Yeah,
problem.
see that I understand. I know I'm in the minority, and everyone complains about we travel so far and you play so many games and it's difficult. Okay, sorry.
I think it's good
I want more games.
if your team is flying. It is really good. I think it's difficult for the teams that are in a bad way, where it just keeps coming, and there's no time to train to actually correct some of the issues that you're having. So you're really just trying to, you have a jog and stretch, you come back the next day, you're now doing set pieces the day before the match, you're hopping on a flight, you're going there. So if things are bad, it can be really bad. If it's good, then you just want to keep playing, and it's like practice, to use the line. But I think there are some teams that could use a little bit of break. Minnesota United probably being the biggest one right now, with Reynoso, giving him some time to train so they can adapt to what it might look like with him. So it kind of depends on the team.
Sasha, I'm assuming you didn't feel sorry for LAFC at all going through CCL and now into this. It seemed like maybe they were going to have to hit the alarm bell. Bad stretch, but now it's 2 straight wins in a row.
Yeah,
They back?
two big wins for LAFC. Back, no, because they're going to have to grind out some results still. Aaron Long is gone. Murillo is now injured. You're going to have to rely on Chiellini to play every 3 days, which I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do to last over the long term, although he did get a quick little vacation last week and got to pop back to Italy. But now he's back, refreshed, played last night against the Sounders. It's a lot to ask of Carlos Vela also. I do firmly believe that he has lost a step and is not the same Carlos Vela that we've seen in the past. But if a down Carlos Vela can still get you 10 goals and 10 assists, that's enough to rely on to put more on Buanga's shoulders. And I liked what we saw from Bogusz last night too. So I don't think they're fully back. I think it's going to be a tough grind for them over the next month. But they're still the class of the league in the West with the quality that they have on their best day.
Buanga's got some Sacha in him, by the way. I think he played 75 minutes on Sunday in Gabon.
Guy's an animal.
And he was like, no, you got a 20-hour flight. Like, we probably shouldn't start this guy. And there he is in the starting lineup. Reminds me of earlier in the year when they said, no, he will not be playing this match. And I'm previewing the thing on Season Pass, looking at the shots on the field. And Denny Buanga is fully suited up, ready to play, and ends up scoring the game-winning goal off the bench.
I talked to John Thorrington a little bit about him, and he was just saying kind of exactly this about just like the mentality, how difficult it is sometimes where this guy just wants to play all the time, and it's amazing. I mean, I think it's very rare sometimes to have your best player be your hardest worker, the one who's most desperate to play all the time. I think of like a Nico Ladero and in Seattle and what that can do for the team, because everybody around him gets lifted, and Trendle has had to be smart with guys where he's used Vela off the bench at times, and he gets the late winner against Sporting Kansas City. There are some guys I think maybe Ilya you want to protect, or Hollingshead, but you got to lean on the guys that are telling you they can go. They have the sports science there to back it up. But Buanga is just relentless. For me, it's like he's fast for sure. Like he's got pace to be able to stretch. But for me, it's more the speed endurance where he's making that same sprint 8 times, and at the 8th time is just as quick as the first. And I think that's where it starts to just wear teams down and open up space underneath for Vela to come in and facilitate. So I think, the way that system suits him and having him on the field really opens up that space for other players. Like we saw Bogus, who was able to play a little bit of a different position, which in MLS, having that versatility of players that you can use in different spots is so important based on the salary cap.
If LAFC can hit on Bogusz or Stipe Biuk, just not every game, just like one of those guys being in some element of form all the time to rotate in, and then they go sign a designated player, Tom, I'm looking at you hoping that there is something, anything. They're going to use the spot, right? They have to use the spot.
That's the assumption. And even before getting to that, Mamadou Fall is leaving Villarreal after his loan expired.
Oh, come back, Mamadou.
Probably coming back is kind of what I've heard, but there is a chance that he could
They
go
could
on
use him
loan
right now.
somewhere else. Yeah, so to kind of piggyback off of Sacha's center back point, like then they'd have borderline 5 starting options for 2 center backs when everybody's around. So that'd be big, but yeah, nothing's kind of finalized there. In terms of a DP, like I think what we've learned from LAFC is that they're just gonna sign the best player, the best deal that they can get. Like you'd look at this roster and you'd probably say they should sign a center forward, but with the DP spot, but will they? Who knows? Like they had Vela, Rossi, and then they went out and signed Brian Rodriguez. And then like last summer they signed Gareth Bale, and then they went out and signed Danny Bouanga. Like I think that they're just going to use this spot on like whatever they think the most high leverage option is, rather than, okay, we need a center forward, or okay, we need a number 8. So I'm very curious to see if and when they use it. Like this seems to be the time that they've, again, like last year, they're never satisfied. Like last summer they made whatever 6 or 8 changes to a team that was leading Supporters Shield, and then they won MLS Cup in part because of those moves. So yeah, they're definitely a very interesting team to see this season, and difficult to kind of prognosticate.
Doesn't center forward make the most sense though? Because Bogusz and Stipe Biuk can play the wing, so that when Vela, and I agree with you, Sacha, the step is gone. He's not ineffective, but he's certainly never going to be the Carlos Vela that we once sort of counted on for LAFC. You get a center forward, Opoku can play on both wings or play in and around that player, and then you have Bouanga and a 9 that could play together, that could complement each other, that are just terrifying, and a bunch of young dudes kind of in the orbit around.
I like it. I'd also like to see maybe like a 8, like a box-to-box midfielder, or more an 8 who can finish plays, kind of like Cifuentes has been for them. But if he's leaving, if he's still going to go and make the jump to Europe, I'd love to see that, just because Tillman and Calen Acosta have both dealt with injuries, and I think a starting level, very good box-to-box midfielder could go a long way for LAFC.
But they do already have, still, even if we're assuming that Cifuentes leaves this summer, they do still have Tillman and Acosta. So and then Bogusz can play through the center as well. So they do have like 3 starting caliber options there. But even in attack, like they spent $5 million on Stipe Biuk, and like he's
and this is the
backup.
These are the. You reap what you sow, and when you sow a bunch of like good strategic signings that have hit and you leave spots open, it goes to what you said, Tom. Like all of a sudden you walk into the transfer window and it's not like we have to do this one thing. It's we have a lot of options. We have funds. We have a place that people want to go. We have a foundation to plug them into that they should be successful in. Austin FC have got their best players back. They probably need to do some work in the transfer window, looking straight at that back line. Landon Cotham hit us up and said, which Austin players would be the best trade fodder if we're trying to build up some allocation money? Just thought it was an interesting question. Is there anybody on Austin, if you were another team, Tom, that you'd be calling for?
I'd be calling about Alex Ring. He does not look happy playing as a center back. He lost his starting spot mostly to Owen Wolf, who's been very good, but like, I don't know, man. For me, I still think Alex Ring is one of the best kind of number 8s in the league, and it's been weird for me to see them not using him that much, and he's just wasted at center back. I don't see it personally. So if I was another GM, I'd be calling about Alex Ring, seeing what that price might be.
Interesting. By the way, congratulations.
John Gallagher.
Yeah, that's the one for me.
They won't let him go. There's no way.
Yeah, and interesting, but they gave Fagundes a massive deal, and I don't know if they might regret that a little bit now and be willing to move on from Fagundes as
Got his first goal. It was a nice little chip.
A great goal. But they need Diego to start playing at his level that we expect of him, if not a little bit above that with the deal that they gave him.
It's tough because Rigoni looked better on the left wing than he has on the right. That's another one to potentially regret as well. And you have Finley, so you could move Rigoni over. But all the stars are back. Austin with a big win against Dallas and a big win in Copa Tejas for them. They've got Houston at the weekend. Right now, Austin and Houston even in Copa Tejas standings on 4 points. Here's a little nugget, a little rumor. Ronnie hit us up. I'm seeing some other reports. Would Chucky Lozano be a good fit to replace Araujo in Atlanta, Tom?
Yeah,
Chucky to MLS. I'm sure this is not the first time somebody's thought about it.
Yeah, would a reigning Serie A champion make a good signing for any MLS team? I'll go on a limb here and say yeah. There's definitely interest from MLS clubs. Like, it's super preliminary because he's 27 years old. He was a key contributor for Napoli in winning Serie A. But he does have 1 year left on his deal. So this is something that you start putting in the seeds, start talking to or letting it be known that MLS and an MLS club would be options for Chucky Lozano when his contract's up. Napoli aren't the easiest team to work with from not just Chucky's point, but like a lot of other players. Like, 1 year left on his contract, you think you might get a cut rate deal? I've been told they're not being very reasonable with an asking price if somebody were trying to sign him now. And look, Lozano could just re-sign a new contract with Napoli. He could go elsewhere in Europe. It's probably more likely that he goes somewhere else in Europe. Again, he's 27 and he's been a very good player in Europe for this time, but MLS teams are looking at him. Like, again, he's the star of the Mexican national team. He would be an awesome signing for any team in this league. So, yeah, you think about the ones that would make sense. Atlanta, LA Galaxy, maybe LAFC,
Chicago.
Yeah, they would have the money. Like, again, that would be what better way to re-jump the franchise than signing Chucky Lozano? Again, and, like, I want to be careful to make this not sound like, oh, my God, like, there's active talks, it's imminent, something might happen. Like, there has been preliminary interest, like that is known, and it'd be an extremely difficult deal to get done, but definitely one that if I was a GM of any team, I'd be looking into it if I could.
Sacha, you sort of reacted to Atlanta. What would you like about that?
I just like the replacement for Araujo. Thinking of the attack, that would be Giacomakis, Almada, and Chucky Lozano just excites me. That maybe you just throw Caleb Wiley on that left side to run. And that's a pretty fun attack. Atlanta still needs some help in center midfield. I think that's their biggest piece. But you just think about the spine of that team with that attack. It'd be pretty fun to watch.
I think that's where I'd use their DP spot, by the way, for Araujo. I think that you can get by with, not just get by, I think you could be good with Caleb Wiley and Derek Etienne on the wings. And I would use it kind of as a number 8 or number 6, that DP spot.
Well, might want to stop giving away balls in the midfield. That's a big reason why they drew against NYCFC last night. But congratulations to Nick Firmino playing his first MLS game, getting his first MLS goal, a tying goal in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz. Goals will be scored. That much we know. Let's do a little, let's just use our imaginations. Reggie Cannon has finally freed himself from the clutches of Boavista. Yeah, they never paid FC Dallas, per reports by one Tom Bogert. And Fabrizio Romano says they were not paying Reggie Cannon as well. So those are the reports. And now Reggie is able to choose where he can go next. A lot of interest in him, and that's understandable. But I just want to throw it out there. Where would you send him in MLS? Forget the roster rules. Forget what it costs. Forget all that stuff. Just maximum fun. Where does he go? Tom, where would you send him?
I think it'd be somewhere that maybe plays a back 3 where he could play as that right center back or wing back more in a pinch. So, like, again, Columbus or Cincy, like, that'd be super fun. Those are kind of the first two to come to mind. And particularly with Santi Arias, like, getting into the team for Cincy, maybe like, you could partner with Ray Gaddis. Maybe now he's a new kind of back 3. but I think, yeah, Reggie Cannon would make a lot of sense on kind of those teams. Do you want to take a victory lap, by the way, on all the Boavista fans that have been?
No, I've already done it. I've been doing that for multiple years and saying that they were bums from the start, and they've proven that to be completely true. Sacha, where would you send him? One club. We had old Waffley here that hit us up with like 3 different clubs and took everything off the board.
Send him to Philly. Put Philly over the top. I think his athleticism and his ability to cover ground just fits right into that Philly Union side, bombing up that right back spot. I would love it.
I like that. St. Louis, I mentioned before, as potentially a place to upgrade, so I could see him fitting into that system.
Did you call me Mr. Waffley? What did you say?
Yeah, you were waffling. You couldn't decide. I don't know. It's throwing me off with the shirt still. I think Columbus is a good option, and I'll steal that one straight from Tom. I also like D.C. I love Andy Nahar. They have Juan as well, but neither of those guys have been able to stay healthy. If you put him on the right side and have him providing service into Benteke, his instincts are in the final third are better than he's been given credit for, I think. He delivers a good ball, and I think Benteke would absolutely feast on that. I don't expect Reggie Cannon, however, to come back to MLS.
Nah, I don't either.
I feel like he made the move to Boavista to do it. There will be interest in him given his contractual situation, let's say. So I would expect him to stay in Europe. Anything left over from Matchday 20? Anything you guys are looking forward to in Matchday 21 before we get to the flying carp in the mailbag?
No, we hit a lot of things. Or maybe the LAFC Sporting Kansas City. That was a wild game. That was fun.
Oh, no. Yeah, let's do this. We had this test the other day, and I let you get away with it because we didn't have time. But we have time today. Tom, Eastern Conference. Choose a team below the playoff line that's going to make the playoffs, and you've got to eliminate one team above the line.
Miami's the obvious answer here with Messi coming. So I would
I don't know. Somebody's been doing the math on
Did you not watch my math last night
Get
on
the
MLS
whiteboard out.
360?
No, I didn't see it.
Do you want me to break you guys down?
Yeah, I
this?
do.
Okay.
I do.
Break Tom off.
Miami has played 17 games so far. They have 15 points. They have 5 more games to play until Messi arrives. Okay? In those 5 games, I will tell you who they are going to play. I think they maybe win one of those next 5.
Ooh.
Okay? So they get to 22 games played on 18 points. Average over the last 3 years to qualify for the playoffs or to finish 9th is 43 points. So they would be on 18 points with 12 games to go. So Messi gets 12 games, and they need 25 points out of 12 games. That's 8 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses.
Yeah, it's tight.
Yeah, tight. It's not happening. It's tight. It's not,
By the way, here are those 5 games. At Philly, home against Austin, home against Columbus, at DC, at St. Louis. So 3 of the 5 would be away on the road where they've won 1 game in 8.
I'm sorry to be like the big hater on Miami. It's going to be must-watch TV, and we're going to watch Messi's every touch he ever does in MLS, but I just do not think he's going to be single-handedly able to raise this team to 8 wins in their last 12 games.
So for the team to drop below for me, I'd say Montreal. They've been very good lately, but it's tough to kind of pick another team that's above the playoff line. Like I guess you'd say maybe DC, but I'm a big believer in DC. So
I need you to walk me through your belief system here.
Christian Benteke.
That's it?
My team would be DC to drop below and out of the playoffs.
I think that they have an identity. I think that keeping Lewis O'Brien would be very key to that. But again, like every game there's a baseline of competitiveness, and then you have a special player in attack. And a couple really good, like, second bananas, for lack of a better term, of Taxi Fontes when he's not with the national team or injured. And Matthias Klick. Matthias Klick has been a very good signing. Like, I think that they have enough talented players and they know who they are that I'm always going to kind of bet on that team to, again, I don't think that they're contenders. I don't think that they're going to be pushing for a top 4 spot. But, like, I think that finishing 8th or 9th is kind of well within the realm possibility for me. Or, like, what my expectations are for them.
Take me to the West. Calen, who's in, who's out?
I'm going to bring in Sporting Kansas City. I just think they've been a different team since they've gotten their players healthy. Alan Pulido again this weekend, showing his class. Just hoping he can stay healthy because that's been a problem for him in the past. But, I could see them in the second half. I actually am still looking just below that, too, to Minnesota as well. Just adding Reynoso back into the team, the way they've been able to survive in his absence. Sounds like they're going to maybe also go out in the market. Shout out to Tom. Are you with me here? Are they looking? Just to back me up. I was waiting for a nod there.
Yeah,
come on.
We talked about this last show. Like Timu Pukki is who they're trying to sign. They're going to sign a DP forward. Again, I'm expecting it to be Pukki, but nothing's done. And I don't know. I feel like I just keep repeating myself on that. So
yeah, no. I could see either of those teams coming up. Austin, I could see dropping down. I could even see Vancouver dropping down as well too. Just right on that line. The West for me is really wide open. Galaxy, Colorado buried at the bottom, but above that, it's kind of anybody's.
Are you patting the dirt on the top of those two? You just
yeah,
preparing the grave site.
Yes. But I could see these other two being ascendant, and I think there's a number of teams. I do think with Houston, San Jose, Dallas, like I feel confident those gonna come in. Salt Lake also, I could see them even taking when we were going through that list. I could almost put them near the top based on their form and the additions that are coming in of that tier just below the very top of the West. But I'm keeping my eye on Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota on this back half.
I could see Dallas dropping down around or below the line before Leagues Cup. No Jesus Ferreira, Velasco not in form, no Areola. They defend well, but there's no firepower, man. They just don't got it. And so if you have a tough 6 games with the margins in the West, because from as we said, from second all the way down to 12th is just 9 points, things can change really, really quickly.
No, that lineup that they put out there last night
was tough.
That's rough. It's tough for the head coach there with the amount of players gone.
Nico Estevez got some things to figure out. Maybe we should talk to Tom Bogert about his managerial tendencies. So just tell somebody, hey,
Just
keep it.
throw him under the bus.
You're not good enough
all
anymore.
your friends, man.
Yeah. You can't don't sign your friends. That's the lesson here.
Struggling for numbers tonight, and we got a guy saying, I don't know if I'm going to be drinking or not. And at 1 p.m. he puts on his Instagram stories a champagne bottle. So I don't think he's making the game tonight. So we're going to be shorthanded.
That's pure men's league.
guys gotta
It's
drink
not even like an excuse. I don't know if I'll be.
champagne
You need
at
a
1
Player
p.m.
tonight?
Huh?
You need a player
You want to
tonight?
come down to Central Jersey? I would be glad to bring you, but
Will you send me a stretch limo?
Yeah, what kind
does
of
my Ford Focus
organization
sound?
are we working with here?
I like that he's got a rider.
I mean, that guy's popping champagne bottles. He can pay for it, right?
Yeah. What kind of
Bail.
budget? What kind of budget are
Champagne
you
guy.
working with?
No, I got the finals of Bowery Premier League on Saturday. I got to rest up.
That's big.
I thought you wanted more games.
Big
What happened to when you guys?
How big does that feel in your life right now? The finals of Bowery Premier League.
Oh, it's massive. We lost in the playoffs on Wednesday in my basketball league, so
Ugh.
that one got me down.
Tough.
Basketball lost, but final on Saturday, Bowery Premier League. My first season in the Bowery Premier League, I could be an instant legend.
In the BPL? Woo. Man.
That's big time.
What's your, it's what, 7v7?
7v7.
How do you play? What's your
We
style?
play like a 2-3-1. I usually play as the middle, just midfielder, just chill in there. I was on a 6-game goal scoring streak that got broken last week. Then they won the semifinal without me because I wasn't here last weekend. We didn't have an MLS 360
But didn't score,
show.
right?
They tied 0-0 and grinded out a penalty victory.
Wow. International absences.
Yeah, international call. Yeah, it was my anniversary weekend call up back in California. So
Okay. Respect. Yeah.
but big final on
Tom
Saturday.
would drop you from the team, but
Come
Wouldn't
down
do
to
that.
Cherry Street at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning if you want to see me play.
Oh, wow.
I like
we got
that.
we got the full invite for those in New York. We end on this note in the mailbag from Matt Sheehan. Ask any and all questions, Sacha, or just enjoy the randomness that has become the carp. Hey there, Extra Time. The call of the flying carp has been answered. In Illinois, the Illinois River has been overrun with kopai, formerly known as Asian carp. This has led to businesses offering kopai as a delicacy to help fight off the invasive species. Source Freshwater Companies is donating 300 empanadas, 300 rangoons, and plenty of kopai meat to one of our partnering food trucks, Dos Hermanos. They will serve our flying carp fans far and wide with flying carp tacos, flying carp empanadas, and flying carp rangoons ready to be devoured. We invite the MLS Extra Time team down to Peoria, Illinois, as we take on the Des Moines Menace, who sit as the number 3 team in all of USL League 2. Footy Scran has shared multiple photos of our food trucks products this season. We hope they will bless us with their social media posts once again. They just beat Chicago City, the number 2 team in the nation. They're ready to rise to the challenge, and they have the carp food truck on deck, which we suggested. I do have a picture of the empanadas and tacos, and can say with complete confidence that I personally will never consume
I have
carp, taco, rangoon, or empanada.
I have no idea what you just said. All I understood was Des Moines Menace because Calen and I played a game there a long time ago.
I was having flashbacks to
In
that.
Des Moines?
Yes, in Des Moines.
Yeah.
We went to a
PDL semifinal.
I remember going to a bar afterwards.
Oh, we had a bad experience at a
Yeah,
bar in
that was
Des
not
Moines.
good. But yeah,
Not the only ones
so
that had that experience.
we had a bad experience in that match too. Actually,
did.
That was not good.
That was my one time to Des Moines. I don't think I've ever
I
gone
haven't
back.
been
well,
back
that's-
since. So
No
this
offense
would
to Des
be-
Moines, but that's kind of how the way it goes. I feel like if you're not from that part of the country, you hit it once and you.
Speaking of which, we should give a shout out to our former teammate Kai Kamara.
Kai Kamara was there
Yeah.
that night.
Great segue.
That's right.
Look at you.
Yeah, look at that. I should be taking
know.
over.
Get
Clear
out of here, man.
Clear out,
I'm
Wiebe.
barely functioning as is.
One away from Landon Donovan. But yeah, the amazing part, I said this before to you guys, was like, people ask me like, has Kai changed his game or whatever? He looks exactly the same as we were like 19 years old. And
Still has that goofy smile all the time.
well, the amazing part, I talked to him and he's like, yeah, I'm the oldest guy on the team now. And, MLS rosters are getting younger, so you could probably give us an insight into this. But, he's like, oh, I'm a little bit older. I'm like, Kai, you are the youngest spirit I know as far as a person. But very happy for him. He's a fantastic ambassador for the league. And yes, all about Messi, but don't forget about Kai. got to big up Kai coming after those record books. So it's great to watch.
Who should we make Messi trade jerseys with? Just like on MLS principle. Like you have to if you play the Fire, you have to trade with Kai.
Yeah, he's got to get Kai's jersey.
You can't go for your boys' kit. You know, back in the day, it would have been a Beckerman or a Wando or guys like that. Who are the legends around the
Dax.
league? Yeah, Dax would be one. You got to get the Dax jersey. We'll focus on the Western Conference, I guess. Yeah, he's the one standing out to me right now.
But anyways, Peoria, we're up. We're
That
fighting.
wasn't my best work.
Peoria. If you're against the menace, we support you.
Ali Bedoya's a good one. I'll throw that one out for you.
Bedoya, yeah, that's a great one. He just did he come back this last weekend?
Yes.
Brad Guzan goalie after it.
Guzan's a good one.
If you remember in Copa America Centenario, Messi banged a free kick in the top corner against Brad Guzan.
I remember that.
Brad looked like he was swimming for one. Brad's my boy. I love you, Brad, but
that's on tape.
Yeah, that one stuck around forever.
And Ray Gaddis.
There you go. Perfect way to end the show. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us here on this. We're in the middle of a back-to-back. It's a 3-game week. Sacha can handle this, but I would not survive in MLS like that. I got to go home and sleep. We'll see you on Monday, another weekend. 14 games on Saturday night, MLS Season Pass, MLS 360. You know where to watch that one. We're out of here. Enjoy your weekend. Adios.